Hello, fellow heroes. Back again. What does Dorky have on his mind this time? This is a subject that's, in and of itself, based off of its namesake, it's not something that you could honestly represent accurately with just one video. I don't know if it's gonna be a one-parter, a two-parter. I don't know if it's gonna be a 30-minute video, 45-minute. I don't know if it's gonna be 4 parts, 15 minutes each, because the subject itself is entirely too nuanced. But I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to get into it because nuance is something that the world we're living in now is very much losing sight of. And it makes everything a lot scarier. It makes things a lot more tense and a lot more contentious. Losing track of nuance and the knowledge that everything that you deal with, people you talk to, friends that you have, experiences that you have, memories that you have, losing sight of the fact that all of that is nuanced. It's scary when we dismiss the possibilities, when we dismiss the nature of nuance. What's left is the beginning and the end only, and not the middle part, not the thing that led from start to finish. And that's the world we're living in now. And if you can't think of a good example, I'll give you one. TikTok and Vine, right? Those platforms are as successful as they are because they get you something right away. They get to the punchline really quickly. They tell you a joke really quickly. Vine used to be like, I think, between 4 and 6 seconds. I'm surprised that with TikTok going up to, I think, like a minute. I don't use it. My friends do. But I think with like it going all the way. By the way, I say I don't use it now, but once I get back on my cosplay stuff, I'm probably gonna use it. So let's keep that in mind. I'm surprised though that it is as successful as it is, because sometimes the stuff just takes a bit longer. But I guess it's because it gives the illusion of it being quick that people have no problem with it. But even then, it's a bit dangerous, because a lot of things can be done in a minute. A lot of things can be said in a minute. But not everything can. Not everything can. I'm Haitian, and I have a Haitian family, and I come from a Caribbean background. And in my background, you only speak when spoken to, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you talk back, even though you're just conversing, or you're trying to get a point across, it's seen as disrespectful. But sometimes, when you do as you're told and you just don't say anything, and then they expect you to say something, it very often happens where we don't get out the explanation quick enough, and it leads to altercations that just don't need to happen. I'm not gonna get too much into that. That's my own. Well, not even just my own. I know a lot of Caribbeans like me that can attest to this. I'm pretty sure there's a Haitian Twitter thread that can tell you all kinds of shit like that, so you don't need to take my word for it. But my point there is, like, it's very often that we expect immediate answers to our questions. Very often that we're not patient enough to hear a whole story out. And that's not a good thing. And that's something that we have to get rid of. It's a mindset we have to get rid of, because people get in trouble like that. People get hurt like that. I'll give you another example, one that doesn't hurt anybody. I recently started training with a nutritionist because my relationship with food is fucked up. It's to the point where I don't like eating anymore, because I always stress and have anxiety about, what is this thing gonna do for me? What is that thing gonna do for me? It's not fun anymore. So I hired a nutritionist who's going to help me achieve a look that I've been chasing after for a while, and I've been going about it all wrong. too many details. But she also put me on some supplements, and curious about them. I didn't ask her. I asked a friend of mine who is a successful bodybuilder, very successful. I asked him what he thought about them, and 2 out of the 3 of them he told me was a waste. They don't. They are counterintuitive for the things that I'm working on. Now, here's the nuance. I just gave you the start and the finish, right? Here's the nuance, the middle part. He said those things based off of the information I gave him, which was, hey, I'm using these things to achieve this goal. But I didn't tell him what my starting point was. I didn't tell him the conversations me and the nutritionist had. I didn't even show him the nutritionist's resume. I didn't tell him anything that she might be knowing, because I don't even know. But there's so many things in between the start and the finish that not everybody has, that led to an outcome that nobody was happy with. I felt stupid talking to him about that. And I know you're probably watching, and I'm not blaming you for anything. I love you very much, and I'm so happy to have you that I can talk to you about these kinds of things. Don't take any kind of negative connotation from this, please. But like, there might be some information that I didn't know, that the 2 of them might know, that might make this idea, this thought process, make sense to him. Also, I probably should have just asked the nutritionist what each one of these things does, rather than someone else who's not in the loop. There's a whole lot of nuance missing. Get it? That was a simpler example. A much more spicier example. The white privilege video that I did. It's at 2.1 thousand views right now. I don't imagine for the right reasons, but I'll tell you one thing. There's a few things I've noticed with the analytics. I tend to not look at those. I don't want to get anxiety over them. But the few times I have, I've learned that YouTube calculates or keeps track of how long a person watches videos. It's not like you get 101 views and it means the video is good. Now they go by minutes. Matt Pat explained that at one point. They go by minutes, so it's like, okay, yeah, this person watched, but for how long? Was it a quick click and did you leave, or what? And so the analytics of that video weren't very good. The video I think is like 5 minutes, and not a lot of people got past the first minute. And there's a comment that I saw. I don't even remember because I haven't looked at it in a while. I don't want to. I don't need to be going back there. But there was a small argument that I had with somebody in my comments because he was telling me, "Oh, you guys are blaming so and so, and you guys aren't." I swear, I'm missing the nuance of that comment because I haven't looked at it in a while. But it was basically, the tall and short of it is, and see, skipping again to the end. He was discrediting the things that I said in the video. And I asked him, did you watch the video? Like, what are you, the things you're saying I didn't even talk about. And he's like, I don't need, nor do I want to watch the whole thing. And it's like, so he didn't even get to the end. He only got to the beginning, figured he knew everything that it was talking about, and then just wrote me off. Like, just put paragraphs worth of comments of things that weren't even really worth, they weren't worth a second glance, really. But it's because I understand that everything is nuanced. Everything is nuanced, that I actually engaged. In my video, I do talk about how important it is to have conversation, how important it is to understand perspective. Where you're coming from, where I'm coming from. If we both don't do that, we can't meet in the middle. And the most important thing about having those conversations and understanding perspective is the nuance. To get the nuance, you have to be willing to listen to what someone else is saying. So even though he didn't bother watching the whole video to hear me out, I heard him out. And I was trying to get him to understand, like, listen, man, whatever the problem is, you gotta watch the video to hear what I'm saying. If you don't, then what are we even talking about? I don't even really celebrate that video got so many views because, again, not a lot of people stuck out the whole thing. And I'll say this, I did get a lot of support when it came out. A lot of people came back to me, said thank you for this perspective, thank you for helping me understand, I didn't know this and that, and I did get a lot of shares off of that. But I don't know, man. We still got a whole lot of work to do. The world we live in now is very much primarily concerned with instant gratification. I myself am included. I would really like a whole lot of things to be taken care of a whole lot quicker. I'm not even very good at being patient. I'm probably the least patient person that I know. But I am working on that, again, because I understand things are a lot more nuanced, you know. And if I want people to be, I am a firm believer that everyone deserves at least one second chance, one more chance. Lord knows that I do, right? I definitely need one. So I try to have as much patience with everybody as I possibly can, because boss knows I need people to be patient with me. I'm still figuring this shit out. I'm figuring everything out. Shit, I'm figuring this living situation out. My roommate ain't coming anymore. And it was really easy for me to be angry at him because he bailed the week he was supposed to move in, and that left me with a lot more responsibility. It's easy for me to be angry at him, and I am allowing myself to because it is a valid feeling. But I have not lost sight of the fact that there's a reason he had to do that. What can I do except, all right, and then we clean ourselves off and then we keep it moving. Most of life is figuring things out. Most of life is trying to prepare for the worst, being surprised by something, picking ourselves up, analyzing what just happened, and moving forward. That's all we can do, really. These were just words. I'm just word vomiting, but yeah. Thanks for listening.